This is Praveen Gautam, your trusted marketing advisor. Now, in this special webinar, we have got a very special guest, and I will, talk about how we are thinking this for the business owners and entrepreneurs, especially giving the practical ideas while they are working from home, and how they can look after the kids. So a little bit about Louise. So Louise will be joining us here. Louise Dunham, and obviously she's an author. She's an author, great advocate in the nanny industry and for the safety as well as looking after the nannies for the payroll. She's a founder of Placement Solutions and Just Family Payroll, and obviously in nanny business for more than 32 years. Now, great to have you, Louise, on the show.
Thank you. Great to be here. I have my little teddy bear to remind people we're in unusual times, and we're asking everybody, if you haven't heard already, put a teddy bear in the window so children going by can see it.
Oh, that's so beautiful. That's so beautiful. Oh, that's lovely. Actually, you know what? I was just talking with my dad the other day. He's in Nepal, other parts of the world, and he's saying, look, we're living in a very interesting time for sure, because business as usual, but in an unusual way, and that's what we will be talking about. And obviously with your knowledge and experience and how you have helped hundreds and thousands of families throughout these years. I would like to tap some ideas, some strategies, and even I was thinking personally for me and some of the community, but obviously this can be wide throughout. So welcome again, Louise. By the way, how are you? Before we start.
I'm terrific. Very unusual times. As a grandmother, I'm terribly missing seeing my grandchildren in person, but we're making do with FaceTime and reading books, etc. Will be good when it's all over, but the world will be vastly different for human beings and for businesses.
Yes, no doubt about it, actually. So what we will do is, I've got a number of questions, and obviously I'll load that up on the screen as well. So let's get started, if that's okay. All right. So there we go. Okay. All right. So yeah. Now, obviously, working from the balance. Oh, that's a good word. Balance, be working remotely, working and parenting. Obviously, I've got two kids as well, 2 boys, 5 and 3. It's so hard when you are on the phone. So it's a lot of challenge. So what do you think? How can we get a balance here?
Well, the plain truth is there is no balance. Let me start off by saying parenting and childcare always must come first. Keeping children safe, happy and healthy is the #1 responsibility. I do have a few techniques, though, that are going to help us get some work done. And that, of course, depends on the age group and the people that are in the house. But I can't give you 10 straight hours to be on the phone doing sales, not if you're on your own with the children. You can't put them in another room by themselves. You can't put them in the bath by themselves and keep one eye out while you're on your headphones. So. But I have got a couple of tricks up my sleeve.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful. Now that's really good, actually. So I'm really excited to hear about and to implement the tips, obviously. So let's get to capture this unique bonding. It's an interesting time, obviously. The live in the moment, isn't it?
It is indeed, and I'm privy to a lot of the nanny resources throughout the world, and as an ex-teacher, I'm also reading up about remote learning. And one of the things I read that really resonated with me, this is not the time to act like the school teacher and say you must read 3 books and do your maths homework. This is a unique time. Your children are anxious. They're picking up on your anxiety too. You've got the chance to be at home with them. You've got more time to cuddle. You've got more time to play. You can build an obstacle course in the backyard and have fun doing things that we live very, very busy lives
You
normally,
bet.
and the children get swept up in that too. But
Mm.
this is a great opportunity. Do not be one of those families that look back in 6 months and say, oh, if I'd known it was going to end sooner, I would have spent more time just being with the kids.
Oh,
This is a
beautiful.
rare opportunity to bond and to be with them. And I don't mean every waking moment,
Yep.
but slow time.
Totally, totally. I mean, as we come along, it's like, smell the roses, live in the moment. That's so important. And especially, I mean, obviously, people these days look on so much in medias and negative news, and then all this social media, they jump in. But sometimes when you just pause down and just be relaxed and calm and just be there, it's amazing, isn't it? And that's where the bonding, that's where the real joy starts from there.
And children live in the now. I
Yeah.
think most of us lose sight of that as we get older. Smell the roses indeed. Live in the now.
Yes. All right. So that's great. So as you mentioned, slow down in the now. So obviously, slowing down, which and I'm you would be sharing some strategies as well. So pretty much what you're saying here is priority is more for the kids, more for the family. Yeah. Is that what I'm hearing,
Yes,
Louise?
yes, yes, I am saying that.
Mm.
It will be different. There are no great tips. Well, as I said, I do have some tips, but putting the children first is never the wrong thing to do.
Right.
We are going
Right.
to muddle through this throughout the world as families, and here I come up with some great resources.
Yeah.
As I
Please.
said,
Please.
I'm very lucky to be privy to all of the great nanny Facebook sites and all the conversations. And in my years travelling
Right.
to America when I was on a board there for the INA,
Yeah. You were,
I
isn't
made,
it, from International Nanny Association? You were the
that's
vice
right.
president.
I was the vice
Yeah.
president
Wow.
and I was the chair of the ethics committee for 5 years, which
Wow.
is
Wow.
very interesting.
Mm.
Uh, but on this screen, I'm going to introduce you to Krista. Now, Krista
Yes.
ran her own agency, Kith and Kin, in
Yes.
Brooklyn, New York, and she's now amalgamated, and she's working with Adventure Nanny. She's also an ex-kindergarten teacher.
Right.
What she is doing on Facebook
Yes.
is reading a story every day, 6 p.m. New York time, and it's live, and I can give you first-hand experience of how wonderful this is. My grandson
Yes.
Reuben, who is 4.5, he just loves these stories, and we had a
Oh,
little
beautiful.
message put on it where she said, and I'm reading this for Reuben in Australia. He practically fell out of his chair, so I hear. He couldn't
Wow.
believe, because television, great television programs like Bluey, they're fantastic to watch, but they don't talk back to you.
Yeah.
This is just fabulous.
Oh,
So there's
wow.
one resource that I will
Yeah.
recommend straight away.
So then I would, because obviously a lot of the viewers, a lot of our, friends and families, they are in, obviously in Facebook. So idea is just to check it that time. And I think like how we do as a business professionals or entrepreneurs, we mark in our diary. So it's nice to just get that, lock it in, isn't it? Then just whenever the reminder comes, and then you obviously change the hat from whatever the hat you are wearing, whatever the priority you are doing for the day, and obviously be involved with the kids. That's what you're saying, isn't it? Pretty much
Interaction. So here is a joy that we couldn't have done 20 years ago. Sure, children could have watched TV, but this is about interaction. This is about the human element. And I guess that's really what all this is about.
You bet. Thank you for sharing, Louise. Now let's go next one. What does that mean? Reassurance matters.
Well, in line with what I was saying earlier on about being in the now and children picking up on the anxiety of parents. Parents are anxious about everything. They're anxious about whether they're going to keep the job, whether they're going to catch coronavirus, whether their children are going to be behind when school gets back, whether they won't have accomplished grade 3 maths, etc. Again, this is the time for kindness, reassurance, saw my grandson on a video. He
Yes,
was he was throwing a rope over a tree when he was out at the park, when they were still allowed to go to the park. And
you're
he
right.
said, "Mum, it looks just like the faraway tree. Oh, I better not put the rope on it. I might get coronavirus." So
Good. It's impacting him
reassurance
as
from,
well. Yeah, isn't
yeah,
it, kids?
and
Mm.
kids are acting out. So now is the time for kindness and gentleness.
Oh, that's beautiful. That's really good. Now let's go get to. I love, obviously as a parent ourselves. I mean, I would imagine, because we were thinking, oh look, we will do this here now. Then there will be, we can't, because obviously you try to do other things as well. And when you're running a business or you're working for someone, there's a lot of things. There's a lot of priority, because still we are working as well. Or then you come to, after, before going to bed, you just think, oh, I just feel guilty. Actually, I'm not sure about, I should have done, 3 hours or 4 hours of kids being on the watching telly, or just using the different screens. And every parents, I would imagine, would have that, isn't it, Louise?
Oh, look, I do think guilt comes with parenting. I think
Mm,
from the moment that first child's born, as you'll know
yes.
well, Prabin, guilt enters into it. Are you spending too much time with them? Not enough time? Are
Yes.
they spoilt? Are they
Mm.
neglected? I put this homeschool schedule up as a bit of a
Yeah.
laugh,
Yeah.
but 2:30, reading is not punishment. I can tell you as an ex-English teacher, and I know I'm coming across like an
Yes.
ex-English teacher now,
Yes.
if you can teach your children the joy of reading, then what an accomplishment. Because
Okay.
reading is the tool that unlocks everything.
Yes.
Mathematics, accounting, technology, all of that will come later.
Yeah.
Reading is the tool.
Yes.
Fires up the imagination. But yet, we were, again, this comes from one of the Nanny Facebook pages, and the nannies are saying throughout America and Britain and Australia,
Yes.
spare a thought for them too. Those that are
Mm.
still working, they're anxious about getting the virus. They're anxious about passing it on to the family, whether the family will pass it on to them.
Yes.
And suddenly, many nannies have been in jobs for 2 or 3 years. Suddenly the
Mm.
parents are home full time. So they're anxious about that too.
Yeah.
Their routine's thrown a bit.
So the key here, what I'm hearing, is also about homeschooling, or pretty much as a routine or timing, isn't it? Pretty much.
Absolutely,
Mm.
absolutely. You've got to put some boundaries into the day, some routine,
Mm.
and this is where you can crib off solid time to get your work done.
Yeah. So would that means, just while you're sharing this, I'm just thinking as well, would that means like, because obviously while you're working, it's, obviously hard, like, 1 hour this, and then, so how would you suggest block the timing, like exactly what you're sharing here? Or, it looks like it's pretty full on from 9 to 3, the whole schooling. Do we have to, as a parent, do we have to do everything, or do you think, what is the minimum and what is the maximum criteria?
Okay, most of my expertise in the last
Yes.
32 years has been with preschool children not at school age, but I can talk about the school age from
Mm.
5 to 12. One would hope that the teenagers have got that joy of reading and
Yes.
are fairly self-contained. Yes, you're going to need to block out some time. Now, a lot of this online learning, I'm hearing a bit from the teachers as they're
Yes.
preparing for it too. They don't know how it's going to go yet, but I can guarantee you that no teacher,
Yeah.
a modern teacher, will be putting children in front of the screen
Yes.
from 9 till 3. It's just not going to happen.
Nah.
How do you block time out for yourself? The hardest part would be if you are on your own with the children,
Yes.
then you are going to need every bit of help you can
Mm.
get. If there's more than one adult in the home,
Yeah.
you have a partner, or wouldn't it be wonderful if you lived with your grandparents,
Okay.
because then
Oh,
they don't have to
yes.
be isolated because they're
Yes.
already in the family.
Yes.
You all contribute, and the best way it's going to work is what I call sequential working. So in a typical example, and this requires compromise.
Yes.
So somebody would work 7 till 3. So
Okay.
your wife would work 7, Anisha would work 7 till 3,
Mm.
and you would meet together at lunchtime, morning tea time, a bit more casual than normal.
Yes.
And you would work from 3 onwards.
Onwards. Okay.
Yes.
That's a good advice. That's a good
Yes.
advice. So just you touched on the reading, and just, I'm obviously as a parent, what books, what would you suggest to them, especially from 5 to 13? Because just anything on educational books, or is there any specific books or a specific topic? What would you recommend?
I'm going to be very generalist here and say between 5 and 12, the age
Yes.
of your son, you are giving him some books to gently encourage him in the direction you would like him to go, but his personality will be beginning to come through, and you go where his interest is.
Okay, yeah. Like my eldest one, obviously, he reads about, geography and animals, and, the whole book, I mean, is so fascinating about that. And yeah, that's so it's pretty much what you're saying is based on what they are, what their interest is all about, isn't it? Not our interest, but their interest.
I have to tell you a story from
Please.
I was a young mother, and I finally had time to go to reading class every Friday afternoon in my daughter's grade 3 class. And the teachers soon knew that I was a registered teacher, and she kept disappearing for longer and longer times to go and have afternoon tea, leaving me with the entire class. There was one little boy that it just hadn't clicked with him about reading. Now, we started reading the back pages of the Herald Sun because he was obsessed with the Collingwood football team. And he was bright enough, and he was so smart that he could list people and how many goals they'd got the week before, etc. But we started reading that, and to my great joy, now, he's well and truly grown up now. He's 37. But I did ask when he was about 18. I said, whatever happened to such and such? I said, how did he get on in high school? And they looked at me like I was mad. And they said, fine. And I said, and is he doing well? And they said, very well. And I said, what's his reading in English like? They said, fantastic. But I actually saw him getting the idea about what a tool reading is into the world of hobbies and interests when we were talking about when he was able to connect it to Collingwood Football Club. So
that's a great point. That's a great, again, whatever the interest is, just add that mix as well. So it's a bit of fun as well, isn't it? It shouldn't be just like, just here, strict to the routiners. Just a bit of fun and humor. And as long as it's their interest rather than our interest, it will drive that.
Yes, so, that point, I put that homeschool schedule up on the screen, partly as a joke, and that was written by one of the nannies in America. But reading is not punishment. Reading is a joy. And if at the end of all this time, all these children come out with books under their arm or Kindles or whatever, fantastic.
That's a great point. Now, also, Louise, before we move to the second one, I'm just curious. Obviously, you mentioned from 5 to 13. Obviously there is just certain structures or certain things we have to. How about if they are younger, like your second grandkid, or like the youngest one? I mean, 3 years or 2 years, or the boy or girl, they would be depends upon how they are. But I mean, how would we look after them? I mean, if
children of under 2 need to have an adult set of eyes on them all the time, except for when they're sleeping. I'm hoping that your 2-year-old still has a nap.
Yeah, he does. I mean, but that's not a long one, just a short nap.
No. Well, let me turn the tables for a bit. Sure. You are a father of 2 young children.
Yes.
Tell me, you're all working at home. Tell me what you're doing. What's working?
Look, I mean, because it's a little bit different on, when I talk with my cousins and families, they're different because some of them have just the I mean, I don't want to partially hear boys and girls, but I mean, we found out that the girls or the daughters are a little bit quieter and nicer, and it's not like very much like a boys, and especially the little one is very much hyperactive. He want to go out and play and soccer and you know so from his 1 year he's been always going out, and that's where the tricky part is. But the eldest one is quiet, and he can read, write, and puzzles and all those sort of things. So and that's where the little one sometimes challenging, because only they are 2 years apart. And the eldest, when he is doing any puzzle, the little one comes and do all these things. So it's a little bit drama sometimes. So someone have to continuously monitor that situation.
And that's what it all comes down
Yeah.
to. When the children are awake, somebody needs to be monitoring them.
Yep.
So if you happen to be doing that, and I can see now, because I haven't seen any little faces
Yes.
popping up now. So the children are either asleep or being monitored by somebody else now.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I do remember how hard parenting is when the children are young, and the only solution is, as I keep saying, to put the children first.
Yeah. Yep. No,
And
that's a great
believe
point.
it or not, it might not seem like this at the moment, Pravin, but I guarantee your youngest child is really enjoying the opportunity of following his big brother around, because kids love to emulate the elder child.
And I love what you just said. Put the priority, and I mean, even not just now in the current situation, but last few years, especially it's been almost now 2 years when we moved from Adelaide to Melbourne. So obviously, I have almost Thursday is my day off, and I normally put my hats, because obviously as an entrepreneur, as a business builder, you always on the go, and Thursday is my almost, I say, as in my mind, as a Father's Day. So I'm very much on the different zone to take them to to the swimming, or take any extra curriculums, or go and play with the boys, and after 4 then we have a barbecue and just enjoy. So I think it's a framework as well, because sometimes because when you're running your own business, especially you have to almost 24/7. So sometimes putting that hats on and say, hey, look, this is my Father's Day, this is my special day, this is whatever the day is, then just it will help you to calm it down, as well as just enjoy what you are doing. And that's what I think, if you asked what you asked me before, was like sometimes just a priority, and it just you nail it.
And even though it seems like your 2-year-old is too young to understand, they do understand. You explain your parameters to them. Tomorrow is Daddy Day.
Right.
Yeah. Right now, I'm doing some work on the computer. Yeah.
And it's always the good saying, isn't it? Tell them what you're going to tell them, and then tell them what you told them. So almost it's work on the same way. Okay, we're going to hear tomorrow this, and then you do it, and then go back and say, hey, look, we had such a fun and such an enjoyable time. What do you think? So it's an interesting concept.
Children they need and love routine, but at this point of time, it doesn't need to be as rigid as it would normally be.
Yeah,
quick, get in the car, we've got to drive to daycare. Quick, get in the car again, we've got to drive home.
Go. And then, and even like, I mean, normally, me and Anisha, when, the weekend is always our full on, because there's so many 6-7 classes or more. And then, from Saturday, same, Sunday, same. So we hardly get much of time, and obviously running the business also Monday, couple of hours of, now they are gone, and I go to the gym, and when I come back, and we have a breakfast a bit late, and then normally people starts the time. So it's again different priority.
And you're not doing any of that thing either. You're not getting out to the gym. They're not getting outside. This is what I mentioned before, sequential or shift work. And I found when I had 2 young children that this was the only way. I started off my business from home. It was literally a kitchen table business. I had a new baby and an 8-year-old. And I used to say to my 8-year-old in the school holidays, Monday, I'm in the office. Tuesday is your day. Wednesday, I'm in the office. Thursday, and we got through.
Okay.
you are, if you've got children at home and you've got deadlines that
Yeah.
don't involve being on the phones, then you are going to need to do quite a lot of your work when the children are asleep.
Yeah, that's
So
what
save your
exactly. Even
energy during the day.
even last night I did the same as well. Whatever the pending is, a priority is there, because obviously you got to meet the customer's need. And these days, as you know, Louise, speed is a competitive advantage for any business. So you can't, when people send email, they want work yesterday, not today, yesterday. So everyone is in a rush. So to meet
I
that,
think, Praveen, I think you will find, or I have found over the last few weeks that I've been at home, that
yes,
there is a bigger tolerance happening, even in the
much,
field of work. And part of this sequential or shift work would be, I would say, if you're not the boss of the company, and you and I are in the fortunate position of running our own companies
yes,
and setting the rules, but be kind.
yeah,
We've had some
absolutely,
fun with our Zoom meetings with our staff when we went home. I've got a team of 9. We went home very quickly. And the first couple of days, and I hope she doesn't mind me mentioning it, I won't mention her name, but one of our workers has a 4-year-old and 2 large dogs.
oh,
2 grandmothers that are not well, that
yeah,
she's not able to go anywhere near, and a husband who at that point was still working out of home. And she was so embarrassed and so apologetic, we started teasing her because
yeah,
either the dogs would turn up or the 4-year-old would turn up. And we said, it doesn't matter. We
totally.
can still hear you. You can hear us.
Absolutely. You just embrace what changes rather than seeing the
Yes,
perfections, isn't it?
exactly.
That's a really
Exactly.
good segue as well. Be kind. I really liked it. So as exactly these pictures, I mean, and when while doing the slides, I mean, it's
And
make
I won't break into the song, but I think you all know who that is. That's the reality of working at the moment. Working 9 to 9:10 to 9:45 to
gee,
10:20 to 10:35. Do what you can.
yeah, absolutely.
But if you are in the situation, you're working from home, you've got sales calls you've got to make, now is the time to be talking to your boss. They need to understand that the KPIs are going to, either the time needs to stretch
Yeah.
or the KPIs need to be narrowed. You're not going to
Mm,
hit those same targets, not if you're home with children. It
absolutely.
doesn't mean it's unachievable.
Mhm.
It means that the world's slightly different.
Mm. Do what you are capable of doing, because obviously there's so many things as well, looking after family, looking after kids, and then especially these kind of situations, yeah, obviously the good context. Those who are watching this or listening this video is obviously be kind to people around you, with your staff, and and just be there in the moment, isn't it?
Yes, indeed.
That's a great advice. So obviously you mentioned about you relate to your even one of your employees. So how, if they have some problems, they have some, everyone have a different problem, different issues, different circumstances. What do you suggest? I mean, be transparent, is it?
I seem to have been a screen ahead. This is
Mm,
exactly what I was talking about before. You need to be transparent with your boss. As I described the situation with one
mm,
of my workers, she was just absolutely mortified because the
right.
son came in and was hanging around her neck, and then the dogs came in the next day. Hey, we're all in this together. We're all
Absolutely.
human beings. We
Absolutely.
said we would like to see your son and the dogs, at least for the first few minutes of
Yes.
every day. That's what makes us human. All the barriers that we're a fairly friendly firm because we deal with families,
Yes.
um, but any straight-laced firm,
Yes.
the ties need to loosen, and you can't. Speaking from a boss's perspective, if nobody tells you there's a problem, you can't fix it. So now
Absolutely.
is the time to have um, honest conversations
Conversation.
with your team. Yeah.
Totally. Even if you can't attend that sales meeting or team meeting or Zoom meeting, or be on the phone conference, it is just give the heads up, because it is important. Yeah, just to be a transparent. It is important just to just to give that heads up, isn't it? Even though it's a short time
Yes,
notice, but it is important. Not like 3 days you don't rock up and then that's again just be responsible and transparent.
exactly.
I think that's a
Exactly.
good summary. Hmm. So anything you want to add? So what does that mean? Communicate, is that, I mean, I think we
Oh,
so
look, again, is there one word that demonstrates what we're going through at the
yeah,
moment? I think that what I have seen is the humanity that is coming
yes,
across with,
yes,
and we have this wonderful technology which we all felt was alienating,
yeah,
teenagers from mixing with real people, etc. I think there's some real signs of hope here. There are so many communication
you bet.
tools that we can use. Our team are having a lot of fun on Slack, Zoom.
Yes,
Wish I had shares in Zoom. Apparently it's too late, but communicate. It comes
communicate.
down to one word.
Hmm.
I'm
And
a
that's,
great believer in honesty, transparency,
yeah,
communication.
that's
Nobody can fix a problem if we don't know there's a problem.
yeah, you bet. And that's what I believe as well, just be transparent, just communicate well, even if there is a issues. The worst thing is you don't communicate and you don't tell what's happening. So the people other end, they can't solve the problem, whether that may be manager, employer, or your boss or whoever you report to. It's very much important to communicate that, so everyone just know. And as you're right, because we're living in a very, very much there's so many tools, so there's easily accessible, and so it is important with the conditions you have. And just to give a heads up, now that's a good advice. Anything you want to add here besides phone, Slack, Zoom,
Well,
Skype?
aside from technological
Yeah,
tools, and I guess that's what the phone is. Now, if you're in business
yeah,
now, and I'm getting outside my area of expertise, I guess, but now is a great time
yeah.
to be ringing your clients,
Oh,
talking
you
to you.
bet, you
Because
bet.
we're a nanny agency,
Yeah,
most of our nannies are, we're a labour hire firm, so
yes,
most are all set up like a labour hire firm. But we're dealing with people who look after children, so
yeah,
we have a point of contact perhaps more than other businesses would. But now this is a great time. Talk to your
absolutely.
clients.
So what you're saying is, obviously, communicate with the internal team, with your team, or communicate with with your clients, alliances, or suppliers, just to keep them, or
Exactly.
even with your trusted advisor like your accountant. It's very important. I mean, all comes with communications. And I think even after this COVID-19, that's what I'm understanding more and more and more and more, and learning, because the more you communicate, the more you open, and the more you're transparent, the clearer it is. We are all together in these sorts of situations, isn't it, Louise?
Well, I think so. I
Hmm.
think that what will possibly come out of COVID-19 is human beings dealing with each other in the business world with less front and less
Mm,
pretension, more of an understanding of our greater humanity. Each
mm,
country in the world is going through this
you
with
bet.
different results, etc.
Mm,
We can just see how human we all are.
you bet. And being empathetic is very, very is something we all have learned and we are learning. Yeah, that's a great point. Placement solutions obviously have won so many awards, and 1988. Wow, it's a long time, right? Time goes quickly.
Oh, I'm an old woman.
And
I
yeah,
set this up because I didn't have any help looking after my children.
sure.
Uh, it, we're not breaking any restrictions in
Hmm.
Victoria as they stand at the moment. If you need help, give us a call, 3 to 4 hour minimum. And providing we're asking for radical transparency that your
Yes.
family's in good health, we expect the same thing from the nanny to the family. And you can call us, email us, and we can get somebody there. If you've got that urgent document that needs to be done, or those 3 hour sales meetings, I mean,
Yes.
we can provide up to 10 hours a day. But
Wow. Wow.
yeah,
Now that would be so much. So pretty much Melbourne, Sydney, And obviously you would have some, people, if they are interested, you may have some contacts as well, isn't it?
We have regular nannies that have
Okay.
been with us for 12 months or more that are keen to work, experienced, reference checked, first aid, police clearances, COVID-19 certificate,
Yeah.
and
That's a
love
great
children.
point. That's a great
Yes,
point. That's a great point, because you don't want someone looking after, especially you taking out from the kindies and looking after, and we don't know how we want that. So it's something your call, isn't it? Doing checking everything is very, very important. So no, that's really good. I'm just aware of the time as well, and yeah, it was. When was that? It has been 3 years about, isn't it? This book, State of Nanny.
2016 it was published, yes,
Yep.
and there's some personal stories in there. There's some stories about what it's like to run a nanny agency as opposed to other business. There's a bit of fun in there, but it always comes back to our central belief that the adults who are responsible for children work together to raise resilient, responsible adults, and we keep them safe, happy and healthy while we're doing it, and we respect and support the child carers who look after them and pay them legally and well.
Beautiful. You summarized so well, Louise. Now, thank you so much. Now, anything you wanna add into it before we wrap up for this this webinar as such?
Be safe, be well, be kind,
Oh.
have fun.